It's a little cold outside right now in Jacksonville, Florida, but things are heating up across Atlantic Sun Conference basketball. I'm William Hall. Welcome back to another edition of the ASUN Gameday podcast, where we dive into all of our sports as a whole on this podcast, but specifically basketball. I mean, it's starting to get going. We're here in January, 3 weeks into conference play, and Patrick, my excitement level hasn't gone down. I know we talked about this throughout the fall into December about how we were waiting for conference play to come, and it's here now. And I don't know. I feel like the storylines and the things we talk about, it keeps developing. They're constant changes. Some things have remained the same. We've got some things that are kind of status quo, but as a whole, we've got teams that we really didn't expect to have great seasons, teams that we thought would have better seasons, but at the same time, we're just 3 weeks in. I mean, these teams they played 6 games, 18-game season, 12 more to go. A lot can change. A lot can happen throughout the rest of conference play, getting ready for our tournaments on both sides.
Yeah, I echo your sentiments. I think if we told you at the beginning of the year that Queens and Jacksonville would be in the top, the top one, or number one in the standings currently, people would be very surprised. So, you and I included. So, that's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, let's jump right into men's basketball. We've got 4 teams at 5-1 right now on the men's side, and I think the most interesting thing, and you're right, Jacksonville and Queens probably being in that 5-1 grouping, it's a little interesting. I could even say, based on the non-conference season, FGCU might be a bit of a shocker. Lipscomb, no, they're 5-1. We kind of thought that's where they were going to be right now. But I think the most interesting thing about that is these teams are 5-1, and their one loss has come within that same group of 4. I mean, Lipscomb's one loss is to Queens. Queens and FGCU split. Jacksonville's one loss is to Lipscomb. Like, outside of that group, they haven't lost to anybody else. Again, 3 weeks in, a lot can happen, but I think that's interesting to see that group is kind of so far they've only beaten each other up. FGCU and Queens have held it down at home. They haven't lost in these first few weeks, and then on the other side, the Bisons and Dolphins have been the road warriors of that group, going on the road and having not lost away from home. So I think that group there, the 5-1 teams, starting to pull ahead. I mean, again, it's early because, hey, North Alabama is right there at 4-2. They had a tough battle with Jacksonville last Thursday. That game was crazy. That probably was the longest minute of basketball there at the end between all the replays and the foul and everything. And it came down to, I mean, it was a close game. Will Susie at the line with 3 free throws to tie the game up potentially. That was a great game. And I you take that, then they turn around on Saturday, kind of pull away from North Florida in the second half of that game. But at 4-2, UNA is right there. And of course, we've got teams. I mean, again, teams have only been playing for 3 weeks. But I think early, the surprise of the men's season clearly has been Queens, starting at 5-0 and losing the game on the road to FGCU, and Jacksonville, as you've already stated. I think those are 2 of the shockers. But again, I think Lipscomb is right where we thought they would be. And on the women's side, FGCU is still holding things down at the top of the standings. They don't show any signs of slowing down. As we've stated before, they've kept things going with their coaching change. They've just been rolling. They only had that one loss to Montana State. Other than that, they've just been rattling off wins back to back. They do have a tough test this week with Bellarmine and EKU coming in the Fort Myers. And I say tough test because those 2 teams, the Knights and the Colonels, they had strong non-conference seasons. We talked about how great Bellarmine looked in non-conference play. And EKU, I mean, they had a 9-game winning streak not too long ago. I think that this is a test for FGCU, but it's also a test for those two teams as well. Kind of a measuring stick, obviously, in women's basketball is FGCU. They are the standard, have been for a long time. And if history holds serve like we think that it will, and like FGCU is playing like it will, that tournament is going to run through that building. So Bellarmine and EKU having to go down to Fort Myers, play in the Alico Arena, I think that's just, again, going on the road in that environment, seeing what they can do. It's going to be hard. It's hard to beat FGCU in that building. You would love to get that win here in late January. Obviously, if things hold up, it's going to mean much more to get that win in early March. But early great games. And speaking of great games and tests, we got one in Nashville coming up on Thursday. We've got Central Arkansas and Lipscomb. Now, this is a game between teams that were picked 2 and 3 in our women's basketball preseason poll. We've talked about it already because we've seen this matchup not too long ago and wasn't particularly close when it did happen. So, obviously, going to be locked in on that game on the women's side between Lipscomb and Central Arkansas. Very excited to see what Lipscomb can do at home with the Central Arkansas team that looks like they're ready to go back to the final. And Lipscomb also looks like a team that's ready to get to the final. So that's going to be a great game. It's just a lot going on across men's and women's basketball. But going to take a quick break and be right back with more of the ASUN Gameday podcast. I am here with the ASUN commissioner, Jeff Bacon. First, I mean, we haven't had you in. I mean, you've been on the podcast several times, but in the nice studio, you helped facilitate the.
And it looks good. I like what you guys have done with the place. You dressed it up and taken advantage of it. But yeah, it's very homey. Yeah. So well done. I'm happy to finally be here. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on our podcast. First of all, I mean, we've got basketball going on, but I need the listeners, viewers, people out there to know, like, you're locked in with basketball. Like
how can you not be?
I don't know how you could not be, but I just need people to know, like, as these games are going on, the text messages are going like, "Oh, this is happening." Like the live texting is
the
a
live
real
text
thing.
is real.
It's real.
There's a group text.
Yes,
there's a group text.
Yes.
We're watching the games. We're locked in. It's so easy. You can watch them all. They're easy to access. And now it's getting. I mean, it's always fun, but now what are we, like a third of the way through, maybe almost, give or take?
Yeah,
something like that.
18 games. It's hard to.
About a third.
About a third.
Right?
6 games in. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're getting to the meat of the schedule. It's getting exciting, and we got a lot of great basketball, man, happening every night, every weekend on both sides, on the men's side and the women's side. It's been just awesome to watch. So it's captivating.
There you go. That's the word. That's the word. Captivating. So who would you say, as you've watched, like who stands out to you? I mean, we've got the obvious choices, but I know who I kind of big up every week. But
yeah,
as you're viewing as a just neutral party.
Yeah, I mean, and this is going to sound commissionery, but it's real. I mean, before I answer that question, which I will, I really liked what everybody's doing in our league right now. I feel like our leadership on our campuses is so strong, from the top all the way down. Our presidents, our ADs, all the way down, and then they're hiring great coaches that are just not only great coaches on the court, but off the court, just awesome people too. I'm just so impressed by our coaches. And then when I have the chance to go to our campuses and see our student athletes, it's the same. It's just unbelievable. We just have such awesome people in our conference. So I like watching all of them, and I like seeing the progress that everybody's making. And we got a lot of examples of that this year. I mean, look at Queens men's basketball and what Grant's doing over there. 5-1 right now. Looking great, and they're only in year 3 of their Division I transition. Look what they're doing. That's just Bellarmine women's basketball. The what they've done this year after last year, just amazing. What Haley's doing on the court for them in particular, amazing. So, and those are just 2 examples, but so everybody's fun to watch. So anyway, but the ones I'm really watching. I mean, what FGCU is doing on the men's side, really impressive. Great for Pat and that whole institution. I'm sure they didn't have the most perfect non-conferences they would have liked to have. And I don't know what their expectations really were, honestly, coming into conference play. And look what they're doing.
Yeah.
Also 5-1. So that's been a surprise. I think you got to keep an eye on them. They're kind of figuring it out at the right time. January 2nd, it matters.
Yeah.
And they get that. They seem to get that. So that's been fun to watch. Aside from some of the kind of ones that have been at the top all year. And maybe this is an obvious one, but I'm still going to use them. I'm really intrigued to see what Bellarmine does through the rest of the year on the women's side. They've had a great season. They're still playing great basketball. Women's basketball in this league is tough, and they got a long road ahead of them. But I'm going to have a lot of fun watching them and see if they can continue to ride this wave. So those are just a couple that come to mind.
Yeah, it's definitely been exciting all across the board, and I think we've got also the teams are good, but we've got like strong individual play. I think is also a good thing. We've got people getting, Leo Colomario from Queens getting national recognition as a mid-major player of the week. The attention that the individual student athletes are getting, and I think it's just to steal the buzzword, or I think it just proves that the Atlantic Sun is the destination.
Yeah, it does. I mean, people want to be here. I mean, they want to be on our campuses. They want to play for an Atlantic Sun Conference championship, and that's, again, it's a credit to the people, right? The people we talked about already, the coaches and ADs, et cetera, but the places are just, we got amazing places to be right now. I mean, it's not warm here, but it's not 7 degrees.
Right.
And so we got that going for us in this part of the country more often than not, although our friends in Kentucky and Tennessee are probably struggling right now. But yeah, and our student athletes come back and they want to be here. I won't name names, but we just shared a story today in our office about a student athlete at one of our schools that is thinking about coming back for another year because that student athlete is enjoying their experience so much on our campus. And they're going to have professional opportunities. This student athlete is going to have professional opportunities overseas, basketball, who's seriously contemplating coming back for another year because of the experience that they're having in the Atlantic Sun Conference. That was a really cool story to hear today. So,
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to hear that. It's great to hear that and to know that what we're doing is appreciated and that they're willing to spread that message that they love being here. They want to come back. I mean, like you said, it's a big decision and to really consider staying and continuing your collegiate career because of how, I mean, the conference is boosting you up. That's not counting what's happening on campus and that great experience he's getting, in that environment.
Yeah.
That just speaks volumes to what we do, and I would say it speaks volumes to you and your leadership and your guidance that you've given us, and I just appreciate where you're pushing us to go, the way you boosted this platform that we have with the podcast and everything that we're doing. So I just think it's great. So I really appreciate that. Just
man.
want to let you know that.
Of course. Well, you guys are doing a great job. I mean, we give you the tools and you knock it out of the park. And same thing with our campuses. Again, like I keep saying the same thing, but I mean, our people on our campuses are so locked in, that I'm not doing that much. I'm just kind of trying to help understand, what people are doing and what they need, and our job is to try to help them be better. It's just that simple. And so whether it's me helping you be better or you helping me be better, let's just try to help each other be better. And I think if we have that mindset as a group of schools and people, that we're going to be in really good shape, and let's help each other. Because what's good for me is what's good for you, and what's good for North Alabama is good for North Florida, and vice versa. So, and our people get that, and it's a cool thing to be a part of, especially right now, man. I mean, college athletics is just a whirlwind, and who knows where we're going, and it's an easy time for people to become disjointed from each other right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's really easy to fracture or to look at other people and say,
Yeah.
But our folks don't do that. Our folks are like, let's figure this out as a group. Let's lock in and help each other be better, and that's just an awesome thing to be part of.
Yep, love being a part of it. Hey, it's still basketball season, though. Only a third of the way through.
Third of the way through.
We've got more games coming this week. Obviously, going to ride this thing out through the rest of January and the end of March, and that's when the fun happens.
Yeah, and we've got at least this year where we're still on campus. So perhaps our last year on campus. We'll see. We'll stay tuned for that. And if anything changes, there's an early, breaking news alert or potentially breaking news alert, whatever you want to call that. But so I think, I would encourage our fans on our campuses that are listening or watching to take advantage this year, get to your campus, get to those games on your regular season games. These are fun basketball games, first of all. Get to those games, support those student athletes. And then when the tournament, if you're fortunate enough to host a round of the tournament on your campus, man, get there.
Yes.
I mean, it's going to be fun. Turn it up. Yeah, show up. Might be your last chance to in the tournament, the way it's set up right now, depending on what the future holds. So take advantage of that. And if there's a year to do it, man, this is it. Because I don't know about you. I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm thinking we get to tournament and this thing's both sides potentially wide open.
Yeah. 100%. Like this is shaping up to be. I mean, last year there was some excitement. There were some runs. There were some unexpected things. I think this year is shaping up to be just as exciting of a tournament on both sides.
Oh man, yeah, I can't wait.
Well, appreciate you taking the time.
Of course, buddy.
We'll have to do this again. Maybe we'll do this.
I'm right there.
You are right there.
Invite me into your home anytime you want, man. I'm happy to come.
Good.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
We'll be right back. Before we go any further, let's take a chance to talk about this week's Players of the Week. On the men's side, J.O. from Lipscomb is our Player of the Week. 2-0 week for the Bisons. They just keep rolling, and he was amazing. 30-point performance on Saturday. He's looking like a candidate for Player of the Year. And Tate McCubbin from Austin P was our men's basketball newcomer of the week. He had an outstanding game in that overtime battle that Austin P had with EKU last Thursday. That game was great. And, shout out to Tate for the performance he had to lock up the newcomer of the week. On the women's side, Eden Battle, Player of the Week. We know we've talked about the scorer that she is. She is back on the floor for the Dolphins, making an impact. There's not much more to say about her game, but we know what she do. We know what she's capable of. She's dropping buckets that come from behind when they had on the road against Austin P. That was a solid performance, and Eden Battle helped push the Dolphins to that road win. Speaking of Austin P, Samaya Wyatt, a name we've mentioned several times this season for weekly awards. She's our newcomer and freshman of the week. Austin P had a great game on the women's side with EKU as well. And we already talked about that Jacksonville game. She was strong in that game. The Dolphins did come back to win it, but shout out to Samaya Wyatt for her great week, for taking 2 awards home, newcomer and freshman of the week. So now it's time. It's been a while. I'm a little rusty. I gotta dust off the skills because it's power rankings time. And I think I'm gonna start with the women this week. Number 6, Austin P. They did lose that game to Jacksonville. I let the Dolphins come back into that game. Would have liked to see them hold on and win that, but prior to that, they had strung together some wins. They were looking like a team that's finding their stride, so to speak. Like, obviously, you want to close out and win those games at home. Already mentioned the game against EKU. They won there, number 6. Number 5 is EKU. I think EKU is going to be in the mix. I think they're still in play. Number 4 is North Alabama. North Alabama kind of has seemed to turn things around. They're playing well at the moment. They're winning the games that are in front of them, which is the only thing you need. I mean, you do. You have your schedule, you play your games, and you get your wins. Number 3, I'm going with Lipscomb at 3 on the women's side. Not anything bad with Lipscomb. I'm just going to put Central Arkansas at 2 right now. I think right now Central Arkansas is playing a little bit better, but both of those teams obviously are behind in my power rankings to FGCU, the team that's 6-0 in conference play right now. The only undefeated team in men's and women's basketball right now in ASUN conference play. So FGCU is at 1, UCA 2, Lipscomb 3, North Alabama 4, EKU 5, Austin P is at 6. Jumping over to the men's side. 6 is EKU. EKU lost the game to Jacksonville, and I don't want to say struggle. They won the game, but Bellarmine came to play in that game they had Saturday against the Knights. So they got the win. It's what you need to do. But Bellarmine really pushed them in that game. And that game, it came down to the wire. 5 is North Alabama. Look, we've already talked about there are 4 teams who are 5-1, and North Alabama's right there at 4-2. They did have a 1-1 week. I get that. Did knock them a little bit. I mean, again, but that game with Jacksonville was very close. If I had to put numbers and decimal spots in these power rankings, it probably would be very close. But they are 5. Queens is 4, and they're just 4. They've had a great start to the season. I just think that they are 4 because the team that is 3 is FGCU, and they are the team that snapped Queens' undefeated streak in conference play. FGCU has 3. So that leaves 2 if you've been paying attention to what we've been talking about. Number 2, I have Lipscomb.
Wow, really?
Yes.
That's shocking.
I think that Lipscomb is probably the best team in the conference. But 6 in a row from Jacksonville is hard to deny. And their loss, they started conference play with a loss to Lipscomb at home. First time they lost at home this season. I mean, excuse me, not 6, 5 in a row. They've just put together five consecutive wins. I mean, they put it on Austin Peay. They've gone on the road and taken care of business against EKU in the midst of that 5-game winning streak. I just think right now they are playing pretty good basketball right now. And this is, like I said, this is the power rankings as they stand right now. I just think right now Jacksonville is the hottest team. I'm not ready to say that I think they are the best team. And just speaking about Jacksonville and bringing up facts with them, didn't matter who was the best team last year going into our tournament. The numbers next to their seeds said that EKU was the best team, and Jacksonville barely got in. The hottest team was Jacksonville, and they rode their wave all the way to the semifinals. And I not saying that this is the run that they're on and that they're gonna, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. They're getting it done. They're putting it together, and that defense and the way they play and the kind of the physicality, I think it's affecting teams and they kind of get off their game when they're playing Jacksonville. I mean, the game was close with North Alabama, but North Alabama is a good team, and they got it done. I don't look at it as that's not a fluke win. Some people may call it an upset, but Jacksonville's a good team. 2 good teams played, and they won. And I think that, shout out to Patrick. You have in our media poll, there won first place
only
vote.
Media member to put Jacksonville number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were going to be good preseason player of the year and Rob McCray. And look, 3 weeks in, they're looking like a contender. And that's all you can ask for.
It'll be interesting because what Jacksonville does is they just suffocate you offensively with a lot of physicality. They're able to play that, especially when you go to Jacksonville. A lot of teams struggle when they travel here to show up at Swisher Arena and run the offense that they want to run. And that's a credit to Jordan Mincy and that entire team. The team's been around together for a while. So when you're able to install that kind of defense, it makes it difficult for the teams. And there's a couple of teams in our conference that want to run and gun. UNA is one of them. They show up at Swisher. They stop them. It'll be interesting once Jacksonville has still got a game in Florence, I think toward the ends of February. Don't quote me on that.
But they've got a stretch. And now again, sorry to cut you off, but
Thank you.
we talked earlier. I mentioned that so far they have been a team that's in this early round. They've handled their business on the road. They've still got we talk about FGCU. They've got 2 against FGCU. One of their games against FGCU comes in a four game road stretch. Quotation marks it because they close up at North Florida. Still another team's building across. It's a rival. They're in the Rumble, but they've got Central Arkansas, a team that's gonna fight. They're on the road against North Alabama, a team that they just got into a fight with, so to speak, and probably is going to be looking to bounce back. They've got FGCU, which is on the road as well, which will be the second matchup with FGCU, and then they end that stretch at North Florida. So they've got opponents that are coming up that are going to challenge them. I mean, they've got 2 with North Florida who, when they're on and they're good, we know how dangerous North Florida can be. Still got UNA again. They've got EKU again. So
Yeah,
they've got some games on their schedule. They've got some games that you would consider and look at and think, oh, these are winnable games. Just looking at the games, looking at the matchups, how the teams are playing right now. So, could I look ahead and see them, I mean, they're already at 5. Them being 11-7, 12-6. Yeah, I can see it.
I can see them win a couple more games. I think what's interesting about this stretch coming up for them to round out the point I'm making is that they got this Queens game coming up this weekend. That's another team that we're going to try and score as many points as we possibly can and run you off the court. Can they slow them down going on the road to Charlotte, and put up a similar performance like they did against UNA? And then you got to go down to their next game is in Fort Myers. And then the question becomes, well, are you going to be big enough?
They got FGC at home after that.
Oh, is it? Is that home?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I take it back. But you're going back home, and then you're playing
you
an
got that
FGCU
team
team.
Right.
That are you big enough to beat a team like that in the conference? So you got 2 different of the 3 different styles that you predominantly see in our conference. Jacksonville is one of them, and they're going up against the other 2 back-to-back games. Should be interesting.
And that FGCU team is physical.
Yeah,
that's going to be a physical game because the size that FGCU has and the way they play. I look at that team this year and looks like Pat Chambers' team. That FGCU team looks a little bit different than it did, 2 years ago, even last year. They've got some guys that want to bang, get down there. They've got the shooters, but they play a physical brand of basketball down in Fort Myers as well. So yeah, they've got some matches coming up. Like you said, that trip to Queens and then FGCU the following week. Be interested to see what Jacksonville can do over the stretch. And mind you, they also have West Georgia. I get it. I know the record. West Georgia, I mean, that game with Stetson, they could have got out of there with a dub. That team, they just play, man. They just play. So I'm not skipping past that game, looking towards Queens and FGCU. Not looking past the Wolves at all.
Don't look past the Wolves. Yeah, definitely don't. They have good size, great length. They can shoot pretty well. So don't look past the Wolves. One quick thing too I want to add regarding Queens, because I made it sound like Queens is going to be in trouble this weekend. They handled Lipscomb at Lipscomb in Nashville when they face that style. So I'm not just saying that Jacksonville's going to come in there and bully Queens. I don't think that's going to happen, but it'll be interesting to see what does happen. Queens has an equal shot of winning that game in my head as well. So.
Oh yeah. Some matchups to watch this week before we wrap things up. Well, on the women's side, we've already talked about Central Arkansas at Lipscomb. I think that's a game between 2 of the top teams. Excited to see that. North Alabama at Austin Peay as well. Austin Peay, let Jacksonville kind of get back into the game. I want to see how they bounce back with a tough team coming into their building at home. Can they get that win, get back on track? And I think the game of the week on the women's side, to me, is Saturday, EKU at FGCU. The Colonels, we've talked about the streaks that they've had. Expected them to be very competitive in the league this year, and they're going into the home of the reigning champs, several times defending reigning champs. Hard to beat in that building. That's been nearly impossible to beat in that building over the last few years. That should be exciting. That's the game of the week on the women's side, EKU at FGCU. On the men's side, the game of the week is happening on Thursday, Lipscomb at North Alabama. I think that should be a great game. Two teams that can score. We got a battle of two player of the year candidates, Jakari Lane on one side, J.O. on the Lipscomb side. I know Florence is going to be rocking for that game. A lot of purple going on in the building that day, so I'm going to be locked in and tuned into the men's basketball game of the week, Lipscomb at North Alabama. Also, North Florida at Queens. UNF, question mark. I just, when they are on, and I'm ready to see when they can get back on. No better place to do it than on the road against a team that has had a great start. And we were talking about schedules and breaking down Jacksonville's schedule and talking about games they had coming up. Queens has won the games they needed to win, but there's still a lot of heavy hitters in the conference that are going to be trying to knock them off, seeing the start, want to know if they're legit. I know they finally did suffer a loss, but Grant Leonard's obviously coached a great team this season. I don't think the wheels are falling off, but I think those are two teams in different positions right now in the season. UNF trying to regain some of that early season mojo that they had going and trying to get things rolling. And Queens, quick minor setback potentially. Want to see if they can keep it rolling and jump back on to the winning that they were just going on, starting out 5-0 in conference play. And the last game I'd like to highlighting on is one I just mentioned, Jacksonville at West Georgia. Jacksonville handled their business on the road. I think West Georgia has played some close games, and they're due for one. They're due for that one that they just grind it out and get it done because they're in the mix. They score. Like you said, they're competitive. They've got the length. Maybe this is it. When the Dolphins come into town, maybe West Georgia uses that as a catalyst to get things rolling and fight their way higher in the standings and be in a position to be part of the ASUN basketball tournament when it starts in early March. So, as always, we are locked in, ready for more conference play, conference action this weekend.
Can't wait.
Oh, I never can wait. I
Can't wait.
It feels like it comes so quick. It does feel like it comes quick. And it's like Saturday's here, catch my breath, and then it's like we're back into another week and we're getting ready for the podcast, gearing up for another week. So we're going to be locked in. Please stay locked in as well. I'm William Hall signing off. Another episode of the ASUN Game Day podcast.